All right. We are
My goodness.
back.
First, apologies. But first, I'm Paul Reed, your host, with Jason Crawford, the big man to my Johnny Carson.
Yeah, yep.
Last two Fridays, we had to cancel. One was I had a pretty significant afternoon hearing on a Friday, which never happens, but sometimes they do. And so that was that. The other one was basically I was hungover last Friday and couldn't make it. A couple of doctors and I went to a Lightning game, and
There
well,
you
it
go.
went either uphill or downhill after that. So it was not possible for me to entertain you as normal.
Yeah. Well, we did miss you. I mean, I missed you. I'm way up here in
Of course.
Tallahassee now, so
Yes, Jason has
it's
moved to
neat.
Tallahassee to make the world and the state a better place.
We're trying.
All right. So, all right, couple of things right off the bat.
Yeah.
When you get in a car crash, um, the insurance companies want you to use, and your car's not totaled, it's repairable. Your insurance companies want you to use their provider, their
Okay, so
preferred
not totaled.
provider, and they re-guarantee the results. First off, let me how do I say this? That's crap. You
Okay.
know, what happens is, and you just think about this from common sense. If I'm an insurance company and you're a auto body facility, and I refer you all of our crashes, but on the flip side, I want you to basically save me some money, right? That's the understanding, whether it's spoken or not. I just spoke it. I'm
As an
gonna
insurance company,
I'm gonna
right?
feed you, and
Hmm.
I want to have to, and I want to pay less for
So you're
what?
saying if you were an insurance company, that's
Of
the
course,
idea.
they're in the
Okay.
business. All they're in the business to do is make money. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh
care
yeah.
what you believe,
It doesn't
what you
matter how you slice
hear.
it.
It's
Yep.
to right make money.
Yeah.
So I'm going
That's
to
right.
send
They
you
stop making
hundreds.
money, they're out.
I'm going to send you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars to fix. You're going to make some money, but you're going to do it like Walmart because I'm paying for this. So you're going to fix a lot of cars, but a little less than what you would make if Jason just drives off the street and says, "Hey, I've got an issue with A, B, and C." Oh, really? Well, A, B, and C for you, Jason, is $10,000. A, B, and
Ooh.
C for insurance company, 7,500. So where am I going with that? Oh yeah, no, 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 no. It's a reduction because they're getting volume. I can make $1,000 a car,
Okay.
1,000 cars, or I can make,
Hmm.
a couple $1,000 a car for 10 cars. What you gonna do?
Yeah, of
You're
course.
gonna do volume. So
Volume. Yeah.
well, people think that it's in their best interest to use the preferred provider. It's not. And two, a lot of people think, but this is why we're talking about it, they have to use the preferred provider. No, you don't. Let's
Okay.
be clear. You can take your car anywhere you want.
Okay.
Now, repeat that, Jason.
You can take your car anywhere you want.
I should take my car somewhere other than where the insurance company wants me to take it. Repeat that.
I should take my car somewhere other than where my insurance company wants me to take it.
Okay. And I'm not going
Okay.
to ever say that again because I'm just telling you that's what you should
Okay.
do. Because in my, not opinion, in my
Experience.
days and years and of doing this,
Hmm.
so many times car goes to preferred provider, car comes back, preferred provider says we're done, but the
Hmm.
car still has issues.
Yeah.
Well, if you take your car to somewhere else that's not a preferred provider and they rely on word of mouth referrals, well, they're
Doing
going
their
to
due
be more,
diligence to.
more apt to fix your car rather than you say never take your car to Ajax car dealership because they're horrible.
I got what you're
But if
saying. So
I'm
you're
getting
you're
fed
saying,
nonstop, no matter what I do, what do I
yeah.
care whether I do a good job or not? You with me?
Yeah, so you're saying like an independent shop that's not getting their money source as the referral network of an insurance company relies on word of mouth and reputation. And so, because their reputation is their motivation, they're more apt and motivated to do a good job, better job than the chop shop quick fix that may skip a couple of steps because they get a bunch of referrals that just keep being fed to them.
Damn, that boy got a purty mouth. That's exactly exactly what I said.
Okay,
That was from
interesting.
Deliverance. If you saw that back in the
That
70s,
boy got a bird
you,
of mouth.
you weren't even born. Pretty funny show, though. All right, so that's that. So hold on, we're
Okay,
done with that.
interesting.
All right, well, number two,
You got a bird of mouth.
do you know what's going on with Texas and their law on immigration and the Supreme
Okay,
Court and the Fifth? Do you kind of
I
understand what it's all
am.
about, or no?
I have. I'm aware. I'm aware of it. I am. I was actually going to text you and ask you if you wanted to talk about this. Um, I'm not an expert. I'm
Well,
not
you're fixing to become an
super in
expert
the
right
know.
now.
Great.
Yeah.
I knew you would know more than I do.
Well, because we
I
can
just didn't
tie
know
this
if you'd want to talk
into a
about
few
it.
different things and your pop quiz test at the end of the show.
Oh,
So
no, this will be the second test I've had this week. I had a
it's
traffic
called
school.
Texas Senate Bill 4, right? And I made notes.
Okay.
It basically would allow the state and local Texas police officers to arrest people suspected of being in the country illegally.
Okay.
It would allow judges to either deport them or put them in jail.
And this is
That's
the bill that they put on hold
Yes, Senate
to.
Bill 4. Well,
Okay.
okay, so that is it. It basically allows Texas to honestly deport um, indi individuals that are not authorized to be in this country. How about that for politically correct?
Okay.
Yeah,
So they're not reliant upon the federal government for deportation. They can take
correct.
matters into their own hands. Okay.
Correct. All right.
Okay.
And the estimate, and it's the internet, but probably not a rough estimate.
Okay.
Supposedly, there's about 1.6 million unauthorized immigrants in Texas. Now, that's a lot.
That's a lot,
Yeah,
bro.
10
That's a
million,
lot.
10 million plus in America. Of that, what is that? That's
That's more than a
almost
tenth. That's a
about
almost
15,
20%.
16% in
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, the law was set to take effect March the 5th.
Okay.
So the federal government, the Department of Justice, I believe, but the federal government and one of their branches, plus the ACLU, filed a lawsuit to stop it from happening. All right, the district court judge that heard the arguments from both sides basically blocked it or put in an injunction saying, "Whoa, we're going to stop this, and we're going to punt. We're gonna let the Fifth District Court of Appeal decide whether or not this law it can be implemented." Now, the
So this
Fifth
is the
District
still
Court,
within the state Supreme Court.
no. These are
Okay.
federal. The
Okay. Okay.
district
Okay.
court
Okay.
is a federal court, and I don't know if it
Okay.
was a Republican or a Democrat who blocked
Okay.
it. Uh, and the Fifth District Court of Appeal, I believe they're in New Orleans, but it's one of the federal court of appeals that cover certain states, Texas, probably, maybe Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. I don't know what states, but they
Yeah.
have 4 states that if there's an appeal, that's where it goes.
Okay.
All right. So the Fifth District, though, and this is kind of sad. This is where our country's at now, just because the Fifth District says, I ain't touching this. No,
This is where
no.
we are.
No,
No,
no.
I'm
No.
just smiling because I'm like,
Where we touching?
you're not wrong. There's
Here,
no.
ready?
This is just
Boom.
where we are.
U.S. Supreme Court. Y'all deal with this. We ain't even gonna touch it. So
Okay. Yeah.
put it up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and on Tuesday, which was the 19th, Supreme Court doesn't rule one way or the other, but they say, yeah, you can go ahead and implement the law, and we'll see what happens, basically. And they sent it
Oh.
back down to or they refused to block it. So they sent it back down to the Fifth and said, hey, do your job.
Okay.
Do your
Okay.
job. Because you have to decide one way or the other before we do. That's how it works. District
Okay.
court decides, appellate court decides,
Okay.
Supreme Court decides.
I got you.
Nowadays, everybody wants to go from I filed a
Bottom to
lawsuit to the Supreme Court.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
they're putting they're trying to put a kibosh to that. They're like, no,
Yeah.
get back to
Mm,
business. District
yeah.
court,
Follow the
appellate court,
process.
and then we'll decide what to do one way or the other. Well, so on Tuesday morning, Texas could implement its law.
Okay.
On Tuesday night, no, you can't, because the Fifth District blocks it again. So now the law
Okay.
is on hold as of around midnight, Tuesday/Wednesday a.m.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and the thing is, it's a three judge panel that kind of hears most of the cases initially.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was 2-1, 3-0, but either way, it's
Right.
blocked now, uh, and it remains
Interesting.
blocked until they make a decision. I believe on Wednesday, this is how quick this is going. On Wednesday, they say, "Hey, federal attorney, Department of Justice lawyer, you come on over here. ACLU, you come on over here. Texas Solicitor General, you come on over here and let's have a hearing. Y'all tell me why you're right and they're wrong and vice versa." So they heard
Okay.
arguments probably for hours, and now they will at some point, whether it be day, week, month, who knows, they will make a ruling as to whether or not the law can go into effect or continue the injunction or the blocking of the law and then send it back to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Okay.
Well, here's what is kind of sad or interesting, depending on how you look at it. From a lawyer's perspective, we like what's called stare decisis.
Okay.
Stare decisis, and it's a Latin term. Let me go. It's a Latin term that basically means let the decision stand. It's a concept that says, look, this issue, this constitutional issue, has been heard before, and it's even been decided by the Supreme Court, and this is how it should go. An example of that is Arizona v. United States. I think in 2012, bless you, they had a
Sorry.
similar law to this, where they could a local governments could arrest and criminalize, suspected illegal immigrants or
Okay.
unauthorized immigrants. Well, it made its way to the Supreme Court, and they, in a 5-3 decision, which is interesting because there's 9 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to look back, and I didn't bother, but at that time, was there only 8 justices for some reason? Did somebody die? Or did one of the justices say, I'm not going to rule on this? But either way, it was 5-3. And they said, no, Arizona, you cannot enforce that law.
Okay.
That law was less restrictive, it's my understanding, than the current Texas law.
Mm.
So they call it, so that's precedent. We have this
Right.
issue, albeit a different court back in 2012. We have this issue on a similar, who's in charge of immigration and things of
Yeah.
that nature. And we decided the federal government.
Okay.
So with the doctrine of stare decisis, theoretically, this new Supreme Court would say, look,
Mm.
the old Supreme Court, so to speak, in 2012 says, nah, Arizona's law was unconstitutional, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, this one's even more restrictive than that one, so it should be unconstitutional as well. Stare
Interesting.
decisis. That's the
Okay.
term. Well,
Right. So it's about establishing a precedent based
right,
off of prior rulings. Do
right,
they take
because
into
go ahead.
account, like, let's say, Tennessee has no borders. So they're having a similar type discussion, but it has no border. Do variations or variables like that play
No,
into?
no, you either
Okay.
can or you can't. Because remember,
Okay.
when the Supreme Court rules, it's not ruling necessarily on one state's question or one of the parties' questions. It
Mm.
is, how does this affect everyone?
Okay.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
don't say, okay,
Okay.
well, over here, it's different than over here, and this, that, and the
Right.
other.
Yeah.
Remember, they're ruling on the
Like exigent
Constitution.
circumstances.
They're ruling constitutionally,
Okay.
not specifically on the case. In fact, as you
Ah.
know, in the case that it's not that individual. It's the Constitution, how it applies. So
Okay.
stare decisis precedent,
Okay.
Arizona v. U.S. You would think that even the Fifth District Court of Appeal would say, look, we've already had this discussion, and the U.S. Supreme Court back in 2012 said, no, this immigration is a federal issue, and they're the ones who decide.
Okay.
But what is a very recent case where stare decisis and precedent matter
Uh,
not?
yeah. You're gonna make me say it out loud.
I am.
Roe v. Wade.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
overturned.
given
Mm-hmm.
this Supreme Court, which is, arguably 6-3 conservative, what might they do? Well, I can tell you this, they can easily, which would be comforting, they could say, look, stare decisis, our Supreme Court heard this in 2012. No, thank you. It's the federal government. Is
Okay.
that a guarantee that this court will do that? This conservative court? Nah,
No.
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 But here's the problem, TV land.
Hmm.
How in the world? Oh, and by the way, Mexico has said you cannot deport anybody, whether a Mexican citizen or Guatemala. You can't bring them here. So
What?
Texas, you can enact your law, but
What?
you can't drop them off back in our country. That's what Mexico has said. So
That's like, hold on, hold on. That's like when you get married and you look at the guy, you're like, she's your problem now.
well,
I'm sorry, that was
that was
terrible.
from Jason's TV World. Direct your emails to Mr. Jason Crawford at jasoncrawford.com.
Not that I would never say that.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Okay.
you've
So,
heard it.
but
You,
there's 1.6 million. Let's just assume there's a million
yeah.
people in Texas.
Okay. All
How
right.
the heck are you even going to begin to implement that law?
One by one.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
The
what a
same way.
nightmare. What a nightmare for
Yeah.
the local police, for the Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's job security for one. I mean,
Oh, well, that's just like them building 275. They've been doing it for
yeah.
10 years. And job security, I hear you.
I
But
look
anyway,
at
so
the
that's
breakdown
what
here.
that's what is the beef in Texas. Texas
Yeah.
Texas position is under the federal constitution that we have the right to protect our state. That is really the simple version of Texas' position, our state and our citizens. And Texas' position is we would not in I don't know 1700 or 1800 whenever they joined, we would not have
Well,
joined the union had that constitutional provision, that article, not been inserted. So Texas
mm,
has a point. Look, we only agreed to join the union if this article is inserted, meaning because Texas is very independent, always has been, still is. If we get basically to remain not independent, but in control of our own destiny, to protect our people, our sovereignty, and so forth.
I was gonna say I've heard him speak about. I think the
And
governor
the,
speak about a
and
sovereign
the
or
founding
sovereignty.
father said, okay, no problem. Of course, back then, no one could expect this cluster that we have now of the federal bureaucracy. They're like, okay, yeah, no problem. You do whatever you want. We ain't gonna tell you what to do. We just want a union so we can protect ourselves from the mean, evil British.
I mean, that was Governor Abbott's like leading statement back in January, which is the federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the state of Texas.
Well, I got news for you. I went to school in Texas. He ain't alone. Now, not me, because I'm playing neutral. But
Well,
if
we
you're a
live in Florida,
Texan,
so
I guarantee you,
not
a
our
great
beef right now.
majority of Texans would agree with him.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that
here's the thing,
it's
the funny
interesting.
part is, because I got a buddy that lives in Houston, dude. Well, I'm not even going to say, but put it this way: many different ethnicities agree with Governor Abbott who live in
Mm,
Texas. It isn't
sure,
just
yeah,
one area of the population because
right.
there's a lot of people in Texas and the United States who we really can't take care of, and you can
Well,
just look at the internet and see that
yeah.
I'm not telling anybody in TV land that that's just not the case. I mean, there are just
No, but I mean,
10 million
obviously, people
people.
closest to the problem care the most.
Oh,
Like that's a
yeah.
given.
Well, exactly. All right.
But
Well,
everybody else
that
wants their
that
two
was
cents weighed
so
in.
now when you're watching the news and what's going back and forth. The world, so to speak, is waiting for
So
the Fifth District Court of Appeal to decide what to do, and then
yeah.
will the Supreme Court even take the case? They don't have to. They can say, "Oh, we agree with what the
Mm.
Fifth District decided. Let it ride."
So I have a question, and you can just choose not to answer it if you don't want to. No harm, no
Yeah.
foul. Do you think that this is an opinion question? Do you think that this is in some way to kind of smoke and mirror some of the other things that are happening with the Supreme Court at the moment? Like Judge Brown recently spoke that the First Amendment is hamstringing the government too much from doing what they need to do to protect citizens from themselves, essentially.
Well, that was
And
one of the saddest things I ever heard. I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
And the part is that's exactly what the First Amendment was meant to do, to protect
I know
individuals
that.
from government intrusion and
Yeah,
government limitations on your speech. Why an educated lawyer who made it to the Supreme Court, in my opinion, would make such a stupid statement, I'm sure I don't know. And I got to call it like I see it. I'm
sure,
sure I don't know.
sure.
You know,
Okay. I just there's several key things that are kind of going on with the Supreme Court, and you've said this before that
yeah.
it's not as important who is president as it is, who they're
Who's
allowed
on the
to
Supreme
appoint
Court?
to the Supreme Court
Oh
when that
no,
happens.
make no
That
mistake.
yeah,
The powerful in this country, presidents come and go every four
mm-hmm.
years, 8 years. The Supreme Court basically dictates the law of the
Forever.
land.
Yeah.
Well, not forever, obviously, but for a long
Well,
time. For a long
yes,
time.
yes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And think
there's
about
no
it. They
term
dictate the law of the
limits.
land for what? 50 years? And
Yeah.
Roe versus Wade was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 40 or 50 years, but not forever.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I just mean that it's not. If there's no term limit either to that
No,
position.
and every you can argue there should be or there shouldn't be, but the problem is
Yeah.
theoretically you want a neutral body, the
Mm-hmm.
third branch of government, checks and balances
Yeah.
on the other two. I mean, that's really what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it just doesn't always work out that way.
No.
Yeah.
No. And
But
if they
but
if
but
it
I
keeps,
say,
can you imagine?
but Jason,
Sorry.
we say that it does work out that way always if you're on the side that feels that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out if you're on the other side
Mm.
that doesn't think that's the way it should be. So I'm
Right.
not sure, and you got
Mm.
to people in TV, you got to remember this. They,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has life experiences. Everyone,
Mm-hmm.
these judges, they're going to make somebody happy with their ruling, and they're
Yeah.
going to make somebody unhappy.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
literally no way around that.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean
Correct.
that's the bottom line. And so,
Yeah.
if which I think is the great majority of the cases, because there are Democrats that rule differently than what the Democrat people think they should. There are
Mm-hmm.
Republicans that rule differently than they think. Like, oh my God, he ruled like that. He was a Trump appointee. He was an
Oh
Obama.
yeah.
He was a Clinton.
Yeah.
It's like
Sure.
because I think they're trying to get it right for the
Mm-hmm.
great majority. And just sometimes we're just not, we either are going to like how they rule or we're not. Because I got news for you. Um, there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a conservative population that if the powers that be in the courts say Texas can do this, they're going to be happy. And there's going to
Mm-hmm.
be the other side that are not.
Sure.
And guess what? Supreme Court can't do anything about that. Fifth District Court of Appeal can't do anything about
No,
that.
no one can do
And
anything about your happiness.
Jason Crawford and Paul Reed can't do anything about that.
That's right.
You know
That's
who
right.
can?
You
Millie.
puffy little Millie.
Millie can do something about that. All right. Well, it's 25
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Uh, that's
We've had a
all we
good show
got.
today.
Again,
Yeah.
sorry. I've been told by Michelle and my paralegal forever and Des, our receptionist, that I'm no longer able to go out on school nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't go out on school nights
You got
anymore.
a curfew.
Well,
There's so many good
in
reasons.
all fairness to me, went to the Lightning game. They won 6-3. I
Hey.
I was gonna go home. I was, but I got bullied.
Oh no.
I got bullied, and the next thing you know,
No.
I was okay Saturday. So anyway, uh,
Well,
well, that's it.
hopefully you Ubered.
It's raining here,
Yeah.
which is good. We need the rain.
Yeah.
it's really not raining. It's kind of more doing nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish it would rain. But anyway, Jason's up in
Cool.
Tallahassee.
Yeah, man.
I'm
It's
here
it's
in
crazy.
wonderful sunny slash cloudy Brandon, Florida.
It's raining here.
Um, Take us
Had to go.
out. Yeah,
You
take us
got it.
out.
Yeah, I got you. Oh.
And I'm sorry, Millie, I bored you, but that's okay.
Read and read, it's like having a lawyer in the family.